Hey y'all, welcome back to part 2 of me continuing to gut my Scentsy Club. My name is Stacy. As a quick reminder, I do use mostly Scentsy Warmers as I am a Scentsy consultant, and those warmers are on for about 15 hours a day. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so we could continue the conversation. If you watched part 1 of my club edit video, you know that those included some limited time offers that I know are not coming back at all. They are not scheduled to come back this year, so I may not have an opportunity to get those once I run out. And those were pretty hard decisions for me. Today's video is going to be less challenging in that I know all of these bars are returning to the 2024 catalog, and they're staples in the catalog. They were staples last year, but for me, some of these bars, I only melt them once a year, but I really enjoy them, and I don't think they always get featured. So I decided that I was going to just chunk these 24 bars together so that I could give them some focused attention and love that they may not get. Now, this first section are bars that are kind of single note, and this is a perfect example. Literally, the scent notes on this are pure peppermint. This is perfect peppermint, and it's a bar that it does come up in my empties fairly frequently. I love to have this like in my office. Sometimes when I'm doing seated desk work, I love to have this scent going when I have a headache. I also really like it when I'm organizing and sorting things. I don't know why, but I do. I reach for it frequently. It's a powerhouse. I get great performance, but it's not overpowering. It's just this light, lively, fresh peppermint fragrance that I deeply enjoy. Next up is one of my favorites. This is Cinnamon Bear, and it is a spicy, red hot cinnamon, and I love it. It does have a touch of clove in there, but primarily you get like a red hot candy kind of scent from this. And I do enjoy to melt this on its own, and you don't need many cubes when you melt it on its own either. It's a strong, long-lasting fragrance. But one of the reasons I don't get through as much of this is that I tend to use it as a blender, and I tend to use it in small quantities, but it's just such a fantastic bar. Now, similar to that is clove and cinnamon. I primarily use this one as a blender as well, but this is a much more subdued fragrance. The clove and the cinnamon really provide a warmth. It's not a red hot cinnamon. This goes really well to me with citrus scents, as well as apple scents, and also some bakery scents. So I do primarily companion melt that. It's a blender that I just always like to have on hand. Another one that I'm cutting because it's returning is apple and cinnamon sticks, and this is really just delicious apple, spicy cinnamon sticks with a hint of vanilla. I hardly pick up that vanilla, but this is mostly a blender for me, and I love it with earthy scents. Sometimes if earthy scents are just, they're not quite bright enough, or I want a little fresher take, then I'll add in some apple cinnamon sticks, and it can add that little bit of sweetness that some of those blends need. Around the Campfire is another one that I was glad to carry in my club to ensure that I had it, because I do feel I would be lost without it. I can melt this one on its own, but mostly I blend with this one as well. And one of my favorite things to do is to just drop 1 cube of this with either Bonfire Beach or Cozy Cardigan right by my fireplace on my fireplace mantle, because we don't typically have a real fire going. It's hot here. We don't need that. Um, but it creates that atmosphere of a fire, and it's so beautiful. I love this fragrance. It's an outstanding blender, and I'm glad it's coming back. Now, this is Cranapple Crumble, and this to me is just a delicious tart bakery. And I find tart bakery hard to come by, where it's not, to me, it's not sharp. It's just an absolutely beautiful. I'm not 100% sure what cranapple is. I've had cranapple juice, which is cranberry and apple. I'm not sure that I pick up a cranberry note, but I definitely pick up the apple. It's definitely like a tart, zesty, crumble type fragrance, and I really enjoy it. I typically get anywhere from 12 to 15 hours performance out of it. I'm only going to go through like 1 or 2 bars a year of this particular fragrance, but I'm glad to have it on hand, and I'd be sad without it. Now, completely the opposite end of the bakery spectrum. This is Gimme Candy, and it is the most saccharine sweet, bar that I think I have ever smelled from Scentsy. I think it lists with caramelized sugar and buttercream, and there might be a honey note listed. I'll be sure to put the scent notes down. But this just absolutely is like Halloween candy swapping day. It is such a sweet fragrance, and I only am going to melt this like 1 or 2 times a year, but it's a total vibe, and I'd miss it if I didn't have it. Now, this is maple apple bourbon, and I was not the hugest fan of this bar at first. It is a single location melt for me. The only place that I enjoy this in my home is in my kitchen, and it's just a juicy red apple with maple and a splash of bourbon. And what this gives in my kitchen space is almost like I have kind of that I'm making baked apples in my oven, and it creates this very welcoming, homey, delicious fragrance. And I typically have to cook apples that day, and I love that for me. So it's another one that's probably only one a year. And this is pumpkin cinnamon swirl, and I feel like it's a fall staple for a lot of folks. It's a nice pumpkin with cinnamon sticks, and it lists with having a dollop of whipped icing. I don't pick up the icing at all in this anytime that I've melted it, but I do know other people that do, and they've picked up that icing note even in my own home. It's just not a note that sometimes icing notes, just like vanilla, can be a challenge for me to pick up. But I really love this bar. For me, it's primarily a pumpkin spice bar, and it's just delicious. And I love having it as an option on all the fall days. Any fall day is made better by pumpkin cinnamon swirl. Now, this one is Frosted Cedar, and this was new to the catalog, and it became one of my sleeper favorites. I did not start melting this until about halfway through the season. It lists as apple with white cedar and creamy vanilla. I don't pick up the apple, and I do find this to be a little bit of a perfumey bar, but only in the best possible way. And I absolutely enjoy it. I do believe that there is apple in there because there is such a sweetness to this. I often paired this with another one of my favorites, which is this cranberry and cardamom. And it's another one that I had in my club that I also just removed. It's listed as bold cherry with white cranberry and a hint of warm cardamom. This is such a well blended bar. I love the combination of the cherry with the cranberry. I can pick up both of those notes, but neither one is overpowering the other one. And the cardamom just provides this warmth that I think makes this a wonderful year round melt and an outstanding blender and alternate melt. So that's just one of my favorites. Now, another warm, cozy, fruity blend that I melt year round that I had in my club, like these, both of these bars are bars that I got through quite a lot of. And so you've seen them a lot in my empties. But this is Winterberry Apple Tea. It's winter tea with cranberry, apple, and honey. And it's just absolutely does smell like a beautiful tea with honey to me. And so it's just a really great, cozy, any time of year scent. And I'm glad that it's coming back to the catalog. Snowberry is the one that got away, but it came back. So this is a unique scent in that it's got strawberry and loganberry mixed in with peppermint and cinnamon in its notes. I don't know that I discern any bit of cinnamon or peppermint when I melt this bar. I also don't distinctly pick up strawberry. I just only know it as snowberry, and it's a unique scent that I always want to have at least 2 or 3 bars of. Cashmere and corduroy is another bar that I just find very cozy, and I enjoy it year round. I particularly love this in bedrooms, but I also will melt it in open concept and closed concept on kind of snuggle in days. It's a vanilla scent with bergamot and sandalwood, and it just does create to me a nice atmospheric, warm, almost like a blanket type vibe. I really enjoy that, and I get through quite a few bars of it. Now, this is Cozy Cardigan, and it lists with a blushing rose note, which is interesting because I don't identify as someone who particularly loves florals, but I don't pick up that rose distinctly. I do believe it's there. I think it lists with amber silk and soft suede as well. This is one of my all-time favorite bedroom melts. It's just very cozy and light. It also mixes like a champ with around the campfire. I really do enjoy that bar, and I would be sad to be without it. So I had it in my club, but it's coming back. So now it's gone. This is cedar cider, and it had to fight to get its position in my club with cider mill because I didn't want to carry both of these in my club. And ultimately, I went with cedar cider because it's just kind of a richer, to me, more complex scent. I do love cider mill, and I did stock up on it, but it's also cider mill is also incredibly popular. Cedar cider is very distinct. It's got a nice, deep, rich red apple with a very light hum of a cinnamon stick. It's almost like a cinnamon bark note to me, with cedar branches being the most dominant note in this. This is a great companion melter. It fills my open concept beautifully with just very few cubes. And one of the things I love to alternate warmer it with is cinnamon pine cones. That's just a magical blend to me. And I had to put cinnamon pine cones in my club because I have not stopped melting this. This is one of those, I'm a mood melter, and I have just not let go of cinnamon pine cones all year. It lists with sparkling pine cones, which I don't know what a sparkling pine cone is, but fir balsam and sweet cinnamon stick. For me, it smells just like those cinnamon pine cones that you used to see all the time in the craft stores, and I absolutely love it. It brings up scent memories for me, and it is great in alternating warmers with cedar cider. This is the first day of fall, and I really only melt this on the first day of fall. I love putting it in though when that happens, just I think because of the name and also because it's really evocative of those early stages of decomposition of leaves. And I live in an environment where our leaves don't change in a traditional sense on the first day of fall. So I love popping this in. It's got a pumpkin undertone with kind of harvest leaves, and you can just kind of imagine that those leaves are just starting to fall and the seasons are changing, and I enjoy it, but only one time a year. On the other hand, Autumn Hearth is a bar that I melted just yesterday. I love this in my open concept. It is such a homey scent. For me, the feature note of this is the cashmere woods and the warm cinnamon. The warm cinnamon is not like a red hot spicy cinnamon or even a bakery cinnamon. It is more like a cinnamon bark. And so it just gives you this very you think of like, or at least I do, I consider like a mantle that has all the harvest essentials on it. That is the fragrance that this gives. It's very atmospheric and deep and rich, and it has all the trappings of a wonderful fall bar, but I enjoy it pretty much year round. Not deep in the summer, but I definitely am already enjoying that. Now, also, Midnight Mahogany is a bar that I did put in my club. This is a bar that layers so beautifully. It lists in its scent notes, they say juicy black plum. I don't get a juicy black plum. I do get black plum and cinnamon leaf with the dark mahogany. I absolutely see the dark mahogany and that the plum exists, but this is really just a rich, warm wood tone that layers and blends so well all fall. I really enjoy partner melting with it, so that's one that I'm glad is coming back. This is Farm Stand Pumpkin, and I really enjoy this. I find it to be a delightful pumpkin scent. It smells not like a cooked pumpkin or a baked pumpkin, but to me, it smells like you have a pumpkin in the room, like a picked pumpkin in the room. It does list as having spices in there, and I believe that because there is a cozy nature to the scent. But for me, this is a neutral scent that I love. I love having this in entryways, and I also love having it in transition areas and rooms when I'm going between kind of heavier fall scents. Now, this is Silver Bells, and to me, this is one of my favorite. It's just kind of a light, fresh bar that is dynamic in the space, and the scent notes make no sense to me. It's like candy cane with caramel, vanilla sugar, and I believe pear. And this is another one of those that I don't pick up any of those notes, but I don't care. I love that bar. It will always go into my club at the end of the season. Just one of my favorites. Very snowy spruce is one of those tree scents that I just absolutely enjoy. I love blending with it. It's kind of a staple with sugar cookie with me over the holidays, so I wouldn't want to be without it. I do think it would have to be concerned if I had an option to put Black Forest Pine in my club. I might boot very snowy spruce, but I love having this at the holidays and I would be sad without it, so I'm very glad it's returning. And Christmas Cottage has nothing to fear. I love the Valencia orange with the raspberry in particular. I think that's such a unique note. It also includes other spices. This is just to me such a beautiful fruity spice scent. It's just, I love it. To me, it is Christmas in a bar. And also, it's just a comforting, warm, homey scent that I enjoy sometimes year round. When I need a little Christmas right this very minute, I reach for Christmas Cottage. Pumpkin roll is having a moment, and I do always put pumpkin roll in my club, and I'm so excited for the moment that it's having. I feel like it is the feature note in all of the Gordy Goodness bars, and I think that's part of the reason that I'm not surprised at how well received the Gordy Goodness bars are. To me, this is a bakery bar that I know so many people who find widely appealing. It's not overly sweet, it's not cloying. The pumpkin is delicious. It's like pumpkin pie filling with yellow cake, pecans, butter, spice. It's just delicious. I absolutely love this bar, and I'll put a little tag up to my Gordy Goodness reviews. I'm so happy that pumpkin roll is kind of having its moment, and I think it's one that if you haven't tried it yet, it's worth a try to see if it's something that you like. I'm very glad that I'm able to remove it from my club for now because it is safely coming back to the catalog. So those are my catalog bars that I have removed from my club. Did you have any of these in your club?